relax for a bitch that got a target on the back of her head right now.
Please, you can't do this to me.
Welcome, Power fans. We are back to cover episode 4 of the final season of Power Ghost. Before I begin, I want to let you guys know I did an interview with Obi, who passed away last episode. I leave that in the description. Make sure you check it out. We go over some season 4 predictions, maybe a few hints as far as what's going to go on before the series concludes. But let's get right to it. This episode is entitled The Reckoning. And I feel it was a misnomer because I feel we did everything but really have a reckoning with most of the characters. Maybe the lone exception would be Monet. But at this point, I have to say I am tired of the Tejadas. I am tired of their storylines. I feel like we're just doing the circle jerk with a lot of the characters, and it's taken away from a lot of the other characters, especially because we know our time is limited, particularly with part 1 of this series finale. We only have one more episode. I didn't realize that part 1 was only 5 episodes. I thought we had maybe 6 or 8. So we really need to get going. And I feel like we're wasting time with the Tejadas and their soap opera type of drama that they have going on. The main thing with this episode is really Monet trying to kill her kids. Already killed the dad. Now she's after and she already had her issues with Kane. Now she's after Diana and Drew after finding out that they conspired with Tariq to have her killed. There were so many false starts with this episode where the characters would have the gun on them, would have the drop, could kill them immediately, and they went into this little stupid monologue, and then the character that has the upper hand, they get either pushed or knocked out the way, and then the other character is able to run away, and we do this cat and mouse game for another 10 minutes. It was real tired to see it. It was very unrealistic. We saw it first happen with Monet running up in the hotel and having Drew and Diana under her gun, and she listens to Drew rant on her for a good 2 minutes, and then Diana is able to shove her on the bed, and apparently that incapacitates her for a good minute, and they're able to run out. We saw that happen later with Drew and Kane. Drew once again goes into a little rant, and that gives Kane enough pause where he's able to knock Kane down and run away again. Like I said, enough is enough. I think we have too many Tejadas running around, even with Lorenzo out of the picture. I need 1 or 2 of them to be gone because I feel like we've done everything we can possibly do with this particular family. I figured Diana is going to be safe because she's pregnant. And we need her to kind of help develop Tariq a little bit more as he moves towards trying to fully become Ghost before the series finale. I feel like now Diana is probably assuredly going to be his version of Tasha, before the series is over. But everyone else we kind of don't need. Drew needs to go. I've been saying that since the beginning of my recaps. Kind of tired of him. Doesn't really feel he can do much with Gordo. All his love interests out the picture. I really don't see a big purpose for his character anymore. Nothing against the actor. I feel like he's been doing a fine job. But material-wise, I feel like he's kind of run his course. Kane, I think we need him as an antagonist. For Tariq, a little bit longer, but he needs to be gone before the series is over as well. And then Monet, I feel like, with the flashbacks and everything and trying to get herself together, getting checked by Auntie J as far as how badly she's raised these children, these little monsters and two-faced children that she's bemoaning, these were her own creation. I feel like the flashbacks have kind of shown her full circle, so we can get Monet out of here too. I feel like Mary J has done as much as she can with this particular character as well. When I was talking with Obi, I thought Golden Brooks's character, Auntie J, would be a prime candidate to possibly kill Monet as far as being sick of Monet's treacherous ways, maybe being a little jealous of her as well. We've seen her trying on Monet's clothes at different points, but now I'm kind of walking that back a little bit. Auntie J seems to be completely on the straight and narrow. I don't see her really indulging in any type of crime like that, particularly killing someone. So I think that particular prediction I had is kind of out of the water, but I do think Monet has to be out of the picture, and that can possibly happen with them and Noma, because I feel like uh, Kane is still being pulled in 2 different directions. You can't have 2 masters, even though he told Noma at the end of the episode that he's his own man. She was impressed with how he conducted himself at the dinner and playing interference with the politician's right hand. So I feel like he's more entrenched with Noma as of right now. But Monet is still his mother, and as Drew alluded to him, you always come running when mommy wants you. You're a mama's boy, So I think that's always going to be a conflict and a struggle. And at some point, he's going to have to make a decision and a break as far as who he's going to truly align himself with. So I think he either takes out Noma or he takes out Monet at some point. He's going to be pulled in that situation where either they're fighting or about to kill each other, and he has to make a decision. Where he goes, I don't really know. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. And we know Effie is a wild card with that also, because we know she's not happy about Kane and Noma having their relationship. And also she has a relationship directly with the Russians who have no love for Noma as well. So Effie's a little bit of a wild card in that regard as well. But we only have one more episode left, so we gotta trim the fat with some of these Tejadas. My prime candidate is still Drew by the time we get to next week. As far as Tariq's storyline, I think the thing I like most about Tariq is that we saw some blatant signs of him really moving into Ghost's role as far as like mimicking all the things he didn't like about his father. He's ranting at the beginning to Effie about how two-faced Diana was, how could they use him to kill their own mother. And I'm listening to him and I could see it in Effie's face too. It's like, do you hear yourself? You use everybody as pawns as you see fit, and you're the one that kills your own dad. You're talking about how it's such a horrible thing that they were trying to set up their own mother using you. You've done uh, the exact same thing and other things that are 10 times as worse. You've been doing that since, Ghost has been taken out of the picture. You've been using everyone. So that was number one as far as his behavior, mimicking everything he hated in Ghost. But I think the main scene that we see that shows him moving into that role is at the end of the episode where he's at the party. And let's keep it real, that party looked like what? It looked like they were at Club Truth, James's old spot. When he's sitting there holding his drink and he sees Noma's daughter at the bar, the way he's looking at her, sizing her up completely. And in his mind, you can see the wheels turning as I'm going to use her to get at Noma. You can see it in his face. He looks exactly like how James used to size up situations. So that was the best scene I think Tariq has been in. Then he rolls up, starts talking to her. So we know where that's going to go. He wants to use her to get back at Noma, even though they have a truce, and he wants Noma out of the way. So those were the clear signs to me that we have someone that is going to be moving completely into Ghost's role, probably by the part two of this series finale. Other than that, the other thing I didn't like as far as I felt was a time waster was this whole Saleem coming back just to get killed. Power is good for that. Just bring characters back just to have them killed, in the 10 minutes that they may have screen time. So he comes back basically to give Diana a hiding spot, which is his parents' spot out of town. And then Tariq rolls up on him. They have a struggle and he's dead. I don't think that's going to have any real big ramifications. I don't really see yet how Agent Carter can possibly tie that to Tariq, but maybe he can. That might be a loose end, but I don't really see that going anywhere. It's being, something that really compromises Tariq in the second half. I feel it's just, they just needed a body for this episode. So Saleem kind of fit the body count. So I feel like that was kind of a waste of time, to bring his character back just for that. As far as Michael Ealy's character, Agent Carter, goes, I've been really critical of him, not about Michael Ealy's performance, but I feel like so far he's been no different from any of the other cops we've seen that have been killed in the Power universe. Greg, Donovan, he felt like he was really just no different from them, and there was nothing different about him to make me take him seriously as somebody that could take down Tariq or the Tejadas or Noma. But that's starting to change a little bit. I like the story and confrontation he had with Tate's brother, and Tate's brother meant well. He wanted to just move forward with his version of how an investigation should go. And Agent Carter checked him really quick with that nice story about how his mother kicked out a childhood friend of his for overstepping his bounds, going to the refrigerator and taking out a drink without asking. And he tied that in perfectly in checking Tate's brother, like, you're on my task force. When you have a task force, you can run it as you see fit, but otherwise, you do what I say. And, it was a little bit menacing, but it wasn't over the top. It just showed that we have somebody that's completely self assured in his ability as a cop and doesn't need to have anybody questioning his methods. And then we also saw how calm and collected he was with checking Noma and trying to get in her head a little bit and starting some discord and distrust between between Monet and Tariq again. So I think that was a good sign of just showing how shrewd he can be, but they need to continue that. I really feel like this last episode that's coming up next week for part one needs to really have him do something with this task force. We need to have him get some type of win, something, arrest somebody, um, kill somebody, something. I feel like he's been treading a lot of water for the majority of the first half of this season. He needs to have an impact before we get to part two in September. So good signs for Michael Ealy's character, Agent Carter, but they still need to speed it up a lot for me to take him seriously as a threat to Tariq in the second half. That's pretty much my whole assessment of this episode 4. I don't feel it was a reckoning. Besides maybe Monet, I felt like they're still afraid to take out some of these Tejadas, and we need some of them out the way to really move the story forward. I feel like we've been treading water for a lot of this season, and I'm hoping for next episode, episode 5, which is the finale of part one. I'm hoping that they do some things to rope back in Tommy's character because I really feel he has to play a big part also in the second half. And also, we need, like I said, we need to see Agent Carter have a big win to take him seriously as a threat in part two. And I think that is it. I think those are the main things we have to see. One of my big predictions is I do think we need to have a confrontation either in the spiritual realm or Tariq being delirious if he's going to die before the finale. We need to have him have that confrontation between him and James and have it out some type of way. So I don't know if that's in the plans. Like I told when I spoke with Kyle Vicenteri, Obi's character, he didn't hear anything as well. So we don't know if that's something that's in the back pocket, but I think we need that type of confrontation to really put a bow on the series and end the arc of Tariq's character, whether he dies or survives. So let me know what you guys think. How have you liked the first half of the season? Is it moving too slow for you? Do you like the pace? Do you feel we're in a good position to have a strong part one finale before we wait for part two in September? And I'll try and keep up some good power content for you during the break. Depending on what happens next week, I'm hopefully hoping to get a few interviews, particularly if anybody passes away. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you for your time and tuning in again. Make sure you turn on your notifications, and I'll be back next week after the midnight premiere to cover the part one finale of Power Ghost season 4. So take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend.